What is happening there, channel subs? Jim here. It is Sunday, July 16th, 2023, and we are finally about 98% complete with the RC workshop slash studio area. Finally. Only been a year now. We started this project right around July of last year, and here we are a year later and finally wrapping it up. Many thanks to my Uncle Hans and Aunt Mark for coming over from Canada and staying with us for 3 weeks. If it wasn't for my Uncle Hans' help, we'd still be sitting at square one. I'm pretty good with outdoor construction and everything mechanical, but when it comes to indoor construction and carpentry skills, I'm seriously lacking on that end. So, once again, many thanks to my Uncle Hans for helping out with this project. If it wasn't for you, Uncle Hans, I'd still be sitting at square one once again. Alright, so looking at the old garage, the old building here, this has been sitting on our property for roughly 33 years now. The building is well over 100 years old. It's been moved 3 or 4 times by now. We bought it from a neighbor 33 years ago. My dad chopped it up with a chainsaw into many pieces, loaded it onto a trailer, hauled it up here, reassembled it, made it slightly larger. But once again, it's been moved 3 or 4 times, and it's a very old building, not very straight. As you see, some walls are leaning in different directions, but it's pretty solid all the way around. Alright, so looking at the building, once again, it was never insulated. Always had a gravel floor on the inside, open eaves on either side underneath the roof. And we've fully insulated it, drywalled it, added a wood-burning stove, concrete floor, as well as air conditioner. You could almost live in it, except it has no running water or toilets or anything like that. So, makes a good little shop area to work on the RCs. Let's go up here and take a peek at it and open up the main door. Main door, I could remove this door, but I wanted to leave this intact. It works pretty good as a blast shield to keep the elements at bay, whether it's rain or snow or anything like that. If the weather starts getting too crazy, we can close that door and it makes a good little shield. Here we are looking in the window. Originally this was the main entrance going in, right here. We kind of walled that off. We were going to put a door wall in here, but we were missing some parts for the door wall, so we used half of a door wall as a window and added another door over here on the other side. Still not quite finished. Need to add a piece of trim across the base right there along the bottom. But otherwise, 98% finished on the entranceway. Back door way over there used to be quite a bit wider. We were able to pull a snowmobile or a four-wheeler in one side and right out the other. So we actually had to narrow that doorway up a little bit and put a regular-sized door back there. So that is a peek at the entranceway here. Let's take a step inside. Once again, this building started out life with a gravel floor, no insulation, and open eaves. You could, whenever the wind was blowing through the woods, it would blow in one side and right on out the other. Get quite cool in the fall when the wind started blowing. But she is now all sealed up. Alright, starting off with the coat rack. Yeah, it's pretty rustic looking. Pretty random looking. Looks pretty darn basic, which is the look I was actually going for. I wanted this to look like an old bar room coat rack. And I think we pretty much accomplished that. That is for darn sure. All the pegs for holding up the jackets and coats are drilled in at different angles, hammered in at different lengths, just to kind of keep it random along there. Same thing with the pegs for holding up the gloves and hats on the other side. Drilled in at different angles, hammered in at different lengths, trying to keep it random looking. Top shelf is supposed to be reserved for hats and gloves and things of that nature. We've got some knickknacks sitting up there right now, an SMT 10 box sitting up there right now. But that's just because I'm lacking on other shelves. So as soon as I get some other shelves built, we can get that stuff moved and reserve that area for hats and gloves and winter clothes. Upper beam up here is made of cedar. I've got some white paint marks on that, and I need to go through with a palm sander and clean that stuff off. It'd be a shame not to show that nice cedar beam up there. So one more thing that needs to get finished. Brand new ceiling fan up here in the archway. Once again, many thanks to my uncle. He installed that guy up there. Did a great job on it. Nice solid mount. And we paid a whole $5 for that ceiling fan. Bought it from Habitat for Humanity. Not being sponsored by anybody. We actually got a lot of stuff from Habitat for Humanity. It wasn't all that expensive to furnish this place, in all reality. I spent way more money on the giveaway vehicle for our 5,000 subscriber giveaway than I did on furnishing this living room. Probably 3 times as much on that giveaway vehicle as I did to furnish the living room, which is hard to believe. You know, let's talk about that. 5,000 subscriber giveaway there. That was a huge shock that the winner of that vehicle decided to donate it back to the channel, Des and her husband. That was a huge shock. Many thanks, Des, and to your family for donating that back to the channel. I'm tongue-tied. I have a hard time finding words for that. To actually have a giveaway vehicle come back to the channel was a huge shock. Apparently, she said that they don't have an area to run it, and they enjoy watching the channel, they enjoy watching the videos, and figure that the vehicle will be better sitting here, or better off served being here. So many thanks, Des, once again, for donating that vehicle back to the channel. All right, back to the interior here. Once again, paid 3 times as much for that giveaway vehicle as I did to furnish this place. TV, DVD player, table, pre-existing from my old house downstate. Carpet, leftover remnant from Home Depot or Lowe's, once again not being sponsored by anybody. Picked that up for Habitat for Humanity, paid $70 for that carpet. It's a 13 by 13 foot section, and it was brand new, 70 bucks, not a bad deal. End tables, 2 of them, absolutely identical, totally identical. And absolutely no money. One man's trash is another man's treasure. Excuse the ashtray down there. Found these down by our dumpster. So one of our neighbors, two neighbors recently moved, and one of them was throwing away these tables. So we've got dumpsters down at the end of the road. We got to take our trash down to the dumpsters. Larger items like tables and furniture and mattresses and things of that nature have to go next to the dumpster. And these 2 tables were sitting next to the dumpster. Once again, I'm not one to pick things out of the garbage, but 2 brand new tables without a scratch on them, I couldn't pass that up, especially when I was trying to get some furniture to refurnish this place. And these guys are pretty nice. The table lifts up, swings around, so you can work on your computer or wrench on a car or something right there, which is pretty cool. I guess it does have some scratches right down here from the swivel, but otherwise, they are pretty darn clean. That is for sure. And that piece of paper is just a drawing from what I wanted to do on mocking up the walls over here. So, 2 brand new tables, absolutely free of charge. Couch. Another neighbor was getting ready to move once again, and this was one of the items that he had for sale. He had this couch for sale and this Craftsman double stack toolbox over there for sale. I picked up the toolbox fully loaded with tools for $25. All kinds of drill bits, sockets, wrenches, all kinds of stuff in there. Fully loaded, 25 bucks for that whole deal. Not a bad deal. Couch, on the other hand, a little bit more money, paid $50 for the couch. Now that's a nice leather dual reclining couch. Not too sure how much that would have cost when it was brand new. I'm guessing probably somewhere between $1,500 to $2,200, maybe more, maybe less, not too sure, but we paid 50 bucks for it. Not a bad deal. Another couch on the other side, that is made by Lazy Boy, and it is a leather couch. Nothing wrong with it, no tears, no rips. It does have a couple little wear marks here and there on the back edges of the couch, but otherwise pretty clean shape. Got that from Habitat for Humanity, paid $70 for that couch. So not a lot of money. $70 for the carpet, $5 for the ceiling fan, $70 for that couch. So that puts us at $145 for the couch and the carpet and the ceiling fan. Plus another $25 for that and $50 for this, so another $75, $145. Plus 70 is what, 215, I want to say, roughly. So a little over $215 to furnish this entire room. Not a bad deal, that is for darn sure. And that couch over there is super comfortable, unbelievably comfortable. So relatively cheap. All right, moving on. DVD rack. Pay no attention to the movies that are on that DVD rack. Once again, we live up in the North Woods of northern Michigan. Not much of a TV signal out this way. Don't have any cable. Internet is extremely sketchy up here in the woods, so we rely on DVDs and Blu-rays for a lot of our entertainment when the weather isn't so nice outside to mess around with the RCs. So we needed a DVD rack or a Blu-ray rack for all our movies, and my uncle once again was instrumental in pulling that little job off. That was his design. It's nice and solid and pretty slim and streamlined, and very thankful once again to my uncle for helping out with that DVD rack. RC racks over here on the side for holding the cars. All right, so this is another one of my uncle's ideas, doing this. My idea was the same thing, to put cars on the wall. That was my idea. But I was going to use 4x4 posts, 4x4s going from floor to ceiling, with 2 pieces of 1x sticking off the sides of the 4x4s, with a little screw drilled in for a hinge point, and another screw drilled in above the 1x to stop them. So you could have the sticks up when you didn't have a vehicle on it, or you could lower them down until they hit those screws and hang a vehicle on them. So that was my idea. But my uncle thought that idea was a little bit bulky. It was going to eat up some excess space in here with having the 4x4s mounted to the walls. So he came up with a more streamlined design that are mounted to the studs directly, are equally as strong, hold just as many vehicles, just a whole lot more streamlined and user-friendly, I guess. Space-friendly. So if you got a lot of vehicles hanging on the wall, each rack is capable of holding 6 vehicles, and I don't think we have one of these racks filled. I think there's about 4 to 5 vehicles on each rack. So still have a lot of space in here for future vehicles, as well as having this whole wall on the other side for more racks in the future. All right, checking out the vehicles on the shelf. Starting off, we have my TRX4 Bronco, the Sunset Bronco, the old rowdy Bronco, sitting there on the top shelf. And yes, it does have its axles back on it. Next shelf down is my 72 Ascender Bronco. That was the last video we put out, was a run video with that vehicle. Love that little truck, very cool. A lot of custom stuff on that, aluminum bumper, white disc covers, lights on the front, and blah, blah, blah. Cool little truck. Next shelf down is my 72 K10 Ascender, which has portal axles on that, which is very nice. You can put the Traxxas track kit on that thing. Next shelf down was the second vehicle on my channel, the WL Toys 10428A. And down below that was the first vehicle on my channel, which is my RC 4-wheel drive Trailfinder 2. Very expensive truck right there, especially with everything that's wrapped up into it. I don't want to talk about how much this truck is worth or how much money I've had wrapped up into it, but it's ridiculous. The reason I have this one sitting on the bottom shelf, or one of the bottom shelves, lower shelves, is because it doesn't really sit up here too good. With the way that transfer case hangs down on the center of the chassis, it's kind of rocking back and forth. So I need to put a dowel rod on either side of this transfer case to center the vehicle up. But in the time being, I've got it sitting on a lower shelf, so in case it falls off, it doesn't have too far to go. I could have put it on the lower shelf, but we got a couple new puppy dogs running around here, and I didn't want them chewing on the tires like marshmallows. So I try to keep the trucks out of reach for the time being. Next shelf over, right there, top center, should be my brother's red TRX4 Bronco, but he doesn't currently have axles on it, and it won't sit on the shelf with no axles on it. It's just not balanced. So it's sitting way over there in the corner on the top shelf above our workbench is his Bronco. Once he gets a set of axles for it, it'll be sitting right there, front and center. Next vehicle down is my brother's K5 Blazer Ascender, and this one has the axles off of his Bronco. Portal axles off of the TRX4 Bronco are on the Ascender, and they are there to stay. That's not changing anytime soon. That's the way that truck's going to be for the rest of its life. So once again, Ian needs to find some axles for his Bronco before it can go back on the shelf. Next one down is my brother's custom 72 Chevy Suburban Ascender. Down below that is a custom WL Toys 10428 Green Hammer, which is more Vatera twin hammers than it is WL Toys. And then down below that is a Axial Wraith 1.9 RTR. For the newcomers, the WL Toys 10428 is basically a clone from a Vatera twin hammers. They had 2 different Vatera twin hammers. They had a kit version and an RTR version. The kit version came with heavy-duty helical cut ring and pinions, heavy-duty parts throughout the whole darn thing, along with aluminum oil-filled shocks. The RTR version wasn't as strong. And all the parts that we put into this vehicle are all Vatera heavy-duty parts from the kit version Vatera. So this WL Toys 10428 started out as a WL Toys 10428. It's currently more twin hammers than it is WL Toys. Same thing with my WL Toys 10428A, which is that one. That's a 10428A, and that's a 10428, both 1/10 scale. So each of these vehicles has the heavy-duty Vatera impact steel gears and helical cut ring and pinion gears and all that other good nonsense in them. So they're super strong and brushless ready. Only thing that's really WL Toys on this vehicle currently is the body, the plastic, and the shocks. Otherwise, the entire drivetrain is nothing but Vatera, as well as having custom LEDs in the front headlights, along with up here on the roof, and custom taillights in the back. So full-on custom vehicle right there with that WL Toys 10428. Moving on. We've got my niece's cars. She has her TRX4 Sport right up there on the top. TRX4 Sport tracks, minus the tracks. Down below that is her Red Cat Gen 8 Jeep Comanche, which is, the body's pretty beat up on it right now. That started out life as a Red Cat Gen 8 Scout 2, version 1, the original Scout. I shortened up the wheelbase to 313 millimeters, added 110 millimeter shocks all the way around, raised and tucked the front and rear bumpers, installed a different body, installed custom LED rock lights, custom LED headlights and taillights on the body, as well as an RC 4-wheel drive Warn 9.5 CTI winch, Boom Racing aluminum wheels, and custom cut Traxxas 1.9 Canyon Trail tires. It is a pretty capable RC car, that is for sure. Probably the most capable crawler that we have out here in all reality. Out of all these crawlers, that Red Cat Gen 8 being built the way that it is extremely capable off-road. Down below that is my niece's Vatera K10 Ascender, the 72 K10 Ascender. Down below that is her Vatera Twin Hammers, which was my third vehicle on my channel, and I gave it to her as her first crawler. Next vehicle over, next shelf over, top, is my brother's TRX6 Mercedes-Benz, which has many custom things on it as well. Down below that is a vintage Tamiya Stadium truck. I want to say 1998 era Stadium truck, which I gave it long travel suspension and 100 millimeter shocks all the way around. Down below that is a vintage Tamiya Hornet. That was the one that we were doing some speed testing with. Blew out the transmission on that one. Just ordered some aluminum gears for it, so we'll get that thing up and running before too long. Down below that is my niece's Tamiya Terra Scorcher, which I purchased for her as a Christmas present, not last year, but the year before. That was her first car build, right there. Next shelf over, some Go Fast vehicles. We've got my Losi 10 SCTE 3.0 on the top shelf, lacking a motor. Down below that is my brother's Traxxas Slash Ultimate Edition. Down below that is my niece's Traxxas Slash Ultimate Edition, which is brand new. It's only been seen a couple times on the channel so far and has never been driven as of yet. Down below that is a vintage Traxxas Sledgehammer. That is the one that we were doing all the speed testing with. Last time it was seen on camera, it was going underneath the minivan at 48 miles an hour and was totally demolished. It has since been put back together, has the original running gear back in it. It is runnable and drivable, and nothing's wrong with it at this point in time, other than some serious body damage. But put it back on the retirement shelf. Down below that, which really shouldn't be sitting on the shelf, but it's not quite not running. I guess it's only missing a few parts here, is a vintage Tamiya Midnight Pumpkin. So the only thing that needs for running is the front wheel spindles, a set of tires, and a body. Otherwise, that thing is ready to rock and roll. So yeah, it's sitting on the shelf, but it probably shouldn't be sitting on the shelf. Next shelf over is my Nero on the top, Arrma Nero, with the diff brain. Yeah, it's for sale. Anybody want to buy it? I can't stand that truck. Every time I take it out, it breaks. Next vehicle down is a vintage Traxxas T-Max, or E-Max, not T-Max, E-Max. Down below that is a vintage 2003 Traxxas Revo 2.5R. Down below that is that Axial Bomber that I haven't finished building yet. Down below that is my brother's Axial SMT-10. And the only thing that needs is a paint job for the body, and it's ready to rock and roll. Then we got everything over on the bench. So let's walk around the corner here and check that stuff out. Stuff that we got sitting on the tool bench. Hornet, Sledgehammer, that stuff here. Let's take a peek at that stuff. Front wheel spindles off of the Midnight Pumpkin are on the Hornet currently. When I mounted the 2.2s on here, I wanted to widen things up, make it a little bit more speed friendly. So I took the spindles off of the lunchbox and put them onto the Hornet. So robbing Peter to pay Paul. If we take these spindles back off of here, put them back onto that truck, throw some tires and wheels on it, it is ready to go. It does have a vintage Novak Rooster in there, which still works. 540 motor, Futaba S3003 servo, Futaba receiver. So this vehicle does run and drive. It just is missing the wheel spindles. Sledgehammer, once again, put through absolute hell. Body is completely trashed on this truck. Blowing off paint all over the place. Broken body mounts, shaved body mounts from the asphalt, sliding on the asphalt. All kinds of wear and tear on this thing from doing the speed testing with this truck. Parked it under a minivan at 48 miles an hour, and it's all back together again. I still have the suspension lowered down. I put some blocks on the inside, some sleeves on the piston, so it limits the shock travel so they won't extend fully, just so we can slam it down to the ground. So I still have it set up for speed testing, but it has the original Trinity Monster horsepower motor in there, 1997-98 World Tour, I think. Novak Reactor ESC, Futaba S3003 servo, old school Futaba receiver. But it is runnable. And once again, the Nero problem child. Emax, everybody's seen that one before. Exo caged Emax. Down below that is that Traxxas Revo 2.5R. Not too many people have seen this. I bought this in 2003, back when I was still into RC cars. And then I got out of RC cars between 2003 and 2016. So in between that time, I had sold this vehicle to my brother. But when I initially bought it, I bought all kinds of spare parts for it, new upper and lower control arms and linkages for the shocks, all kinds of stuff. I've got a whole toolbox full of parts for this vehicle and never broke a darn thing on it. Still has the original body, still has the original tires and wheels, and it still runs great with that Nitro 2.5R motor. Everything still works. Great vehicle. And then SMT and the Bomber. All right, so looking at the workbench. Now, I thought these workbenches were going to be a little bit too big. It turns out that they're probably actually a little bit too small. Could have built these a little bit bigger. So the workbench is 3 feet deep on both sides, 8 feet long from this side to the wall, 8 feet from that wall over to here. Pretty large bench, but really not large enough in the grand scheme of things. We added a shelf across the top. My uncle's doing another shelf above that after the fact. Once we had this one loaded down, realized we needed more space, added another one on top of that. Next little work rack over there, that little car rack on the side, is for future project vehicles. Will be going up on that rack. All right, so let's take a peek at everything here on the workbench area. Not quite finished down here. Once again, 98% finished with the shop. But I've got a lot of wasted space underneath the workbench down here. So I've got this set up to build a 2-foot deep shelf from one end to the other. So I've got things marked off on this side right over there. I've got this 2x4 marked out at 2 feet away from the wall. And this little stud over here is 2 feet off of that, off the wall as well. So I'm going to mount a 2x4 to the wall as a back part and then build a 2-foot deep shelf all the way across the back of here so we can get a little bit of extra storage. Under here we've got all kinds of parts and wheels, 2.2 aluminum wheels and tires for the Bomber, some Slash and SMT 10 tires and wheels, 2 brand new sets of axial, or not axial, but Redcat Gen 7 portal axle conversions. So 2 Gen 7 portal axle conversion kits there. 2 sets of portals basically sitting there. A couple safes sitting here that need to get moved. On the other side, we've got my Wyna briefcase over there in the corner that my 1580 came in. An old Pac-Man lunchbox full of parts and supplies. Another box with car bodies. Another box below that with car bodies. A few loaded ammo cans, which I need to get moved to a different location. Because once again, this area is supposed to be reserved for RCs only. So some of this stuff needs to get moved. Once again, just need to get some more shelves going on so we can relocate some stuff. Alright, looking at the workbench, let's kill some noise in here. Another thing that we added was an exhaust fan, which is up there in the corner, which is on a remote. So we can shut that off. Very nice. Starting off, we've got my Wyna 1550 sitting here. My brother's Wyna 1593. My Wyna 1580. My brother's legendary Buckster front loader. My brother's Wyna 15 something or other all metal tipper truck. Next to that is my legendary tipper. And then my old Tonka bulldozer over there, circuit 1970 something or other. Probably convert that into an RC at some point in time. After that, we've got a whole line of transmitters, Traxxas and Spectrum and SCX24 transmitters and transmitters for the Blizzards and construction equipment. Just the transmitters that we use for the vehicles out here. Still have a whole pile of transmitters in the house, but didn't necessarily need to bring them out since they're not being used. After that, we've got some full cans of spray paint over there for future bodies to get painted. Some paint markers, regular markers, screwdrivers and tools and things of that nature. Magnetic trays, more tools. voltmeters and drill bits and tape and cotton swabs and scissors and a TV that needs to get mounted on the wall. Next shelf up, we've got an off-road trailer sitting over there, rarely seen on the channel. My NQD brushless jet boat sitting here that has a Traxxas VXL 3M brushless system in it, liquid cooled. Next to that is my niece's SCX24. Next to that is my niece's Kyosho Trail King slash Blizzard King 2.0. So this is a Kyosho Blizzard 2.0 with a Kyosho Trail King front bumper and headlights, Kyosho Trail King bed on the back, and headlights up in the top. So headlights and taillights on the vehicle, part Kyosho Blizzard, part Kyosho Trail King. Next vehicle over is my Kyosho Blizzard FR with the Midnight Pumpkin body on it. Next vehicle is my brother's Kyosho Trail King. Then my SCX24 Jeep, my brother's SCX24 Deadbolt, which are sitting on top of tire foams to keep the tires off the ground. Same thing with the Blizzards, they're sitting on top of tire foams to keep the tracks off the ground. Next over is a old, a dolly that I'm making up, trying to turn this into a tipper trailer for behind the loader. Next trailer there is my FYO 6x6 that I turned into a tandem axle trailer. And that's the best the FYO 6 has ever ran, is as a trailer. That is for darn sure. Wasn't a very good RC car, I can tell you that. But works better as a trailer. Sitting on top of that is a vintage boat. This is a Robbie White Rocket. I picked this up when I was about 13 years old from a local hobby store. Brushed motor, runs off of, has a 380 motor in it. And I plan on turning this thing into a jet boat in the future at some point in time. But it still has most of the original running gear. It has the original 380. Used to have a mechanical speed controller. Ran on a 7.2 volt battery. There's an old Futaba S3003 servo in there. But everything still works. It still floats. It's God knows how many years old. I got that when I was 13, and I'm right around 49 now. So had it for a long time. And once again, I'm going to convert that into a jet boat here in the future. Next shelf up, we have that Axial SCX-10.3 early Ford Bronco, which is still wrapped up, still all taped up in that factory tape. Hasn't been unboxed or opened as of yet. And many thanks once again to Des and her husband and family for donating that back to the channel. Can't thank you enough, guys. Huge shock to me once again, just tongue-tied on that. Just don't know what to say. And still haven't opened it up. That's, you know, how tongue-tied and shocked I am about the whole situation. So we'll get that thing unboxed here soon. Next vehicle over is my Volvo A60H hauler 6x6. Got that around 2 years ago for Christmas. Haven't gotten it together yet. Waiting for the studio to be finished before we started that project. And next to that is a box of tires for the Volvo. Some more parts for the Volvo. Some axial bomber parts. Some Wyna 1550 metal boom arms and limiter switches. Next to that are two TRX4 long travel lift kits, and then my brother's TRX4 Bronco. Next to that is a brand new lunchbox kit with bearings and everything else. I bought that for my brother as a birthday gift 2 years ago. He hasn't gotten around to putting it together, just like me with the Volvo. So now that we got the area to work on here, I'm sure he'll get that thing together at some point in time. Next to that is my WPL B16. And I started converting this into a tipper truck and just haven't finished it. I stole the tires off of that truck to put on my legendary tipper truck down here to make it a little bit more off-road friendly, as well as doing a bunch of other modifications to that truck to make it more off-road friendly. But the fact of the matter is that legendary tipper needs to be 6-wheel drive. 2-wheel or 4-wheel drive dump trucks or dump trucks with just rear-wheel drive in the RC form don't work very good off-road, that's for darn sure. Need a 6x6. So started making this thing into a 6x6, just haven't finished yet. The bed is basically finished, other than having a servo to lift and lower the bed. Tailgate raises and opens and closes. Bed goes up and down. Just need a servo for an actuator. In the meantime, though, I've got some leftover Wyna parts, making it look like it's got hydraulic cylinders on there to kind of complete the package. Great little truck, this WPL B16, very scale looking. Unfortunately, the drivetrain's pretty weak, and the electronics are pretty weak as well, so all that stuff needs to get upgraded in order to turn it into a working vehicle that we can use on the construction site kind of stuff. So there we go. There's a look at all that nonsense. Over here on the side, we've got an old school toy box from when I was a kid, way back in the 70s. Loaded with vintage toys, but also stacked up with all kinds of stuff because we don't have enough storage space. So You've got boxes of tires right here and right there. More tires and wheels and foams over here on the side. Battery chargers sitting down here. Drill chargers down there. Car stands down here. Charger boxes. Tape measures. Blackfoot chassis sitting there. Original. More parts and supplies sitting here. So need some more storage space so we can get this stuff put into a home. Looking at the toolbox, the Craftsman double stack. Once again, paid $25 for this. Not a bad deal. It's not new by any means, but hey, it's a place to store stuff, and the price is right. So we got a bunch of LiPos sitting here on the top. Certainly not all the LiPos we have, just a couple. The rest are in the house, and as well as some other batteries there for the transmitters and things of that nature, some butane and polishing compounds and stuff like that. First drawer down, we've got styrofoams, different kinds of foams for the RCs, different thicknesses for electronic stuff. Some steel weights out of here for the Winas. Some wrenches in there, small wrenches. Next drawer over, we've got door hinges and stencils and things of that nature. Next drawer is phone parts and accessories, cords, stopwatches, chargers, other such things in there. Next drawer down, we've got some notepads, some 18650s and other batteries. For a laser and flashlight, some dial caliper or a dial caliper sitting here. All these part bags right here are actually for the WL Toys 10428. These are all the Vatera parts. So if anybody wants to turn a WL Toys 10428 into a Vatera Twin Hammers, or they want it to be as strong as a Vatera Twin Hammers, these are all the part bags that you need to do it. And there's probably about 30 of these here. All kinds of parts. So a few $100s in Vatera parts is what you need to make a WL Toys as strong as a Vatera. A lot of parts. Save those bags just in case. Next drawer down, nothing but Emax parts. That used Emax that I bought off of a friend of mine. These are all the parts that came off or came with that Emax. Several lower control arms, all kinds of shocks, some bench shocks as well. That all go to that Emax. Next drawer down, we've got some electronics, some ESCs, a bunch of pinion gears, Trail King parts here, and bearings and things of that nature. Some brand new Traxxas 380s here. What's that, an 18-turn 380? Yep, 18-turn 380s. Those are for my niece's Kyosho Blizzard, and pinion gears for that as well. Hot glue gun. Next drawer down, we got some wind-up parts, some fishing line for winch line, some more bearings, bumper accessories, drive shafts, axial parts, drive shafts. Gun cleaning stuff. That really shouldn't even be in here. Next section down, we've got ESCs and servo testers. Brand new ESCs, servo programmers, more chargers, servo for the legendary Buckster. Some motors sitting over here on the side, battery adapters, battery charger connectors, and other such things in here. More electronics, more bags of parts. I think it's all bomber parts right there. Next shelf down, we've got some RPM slash parts, a whole bag full of RPM slash parts sitting here. Some J-Concept hubs there, some King off-road shocks, some more parts, some tape, some rubber bands, wheels, and tires. Tires and wheels, I've got a crap ton of tires and wheels. I mean, a whole ton of them. And I just don't have a place to put them. So we need to create some kind of device to hang all the tires and wheels on. Like a rack with a metal rod going through it to hang all the tires and wheels on to just clear up some space in these drawers. Also need to hang up some pegboard in here. A little section of pegboard over here, another section over on the side to hang other new parts and accessories on. Excuse me. Next drawer down, more tires and wheels. These are for the TRX6 Mercedes-Benz. So we've got some Interco IROCs down here, as well as some Hyrax down here, and Super Swampers as well that go on that Mercedes-Benz. Hyrax have obviously hardly ever been used. They still have that white powder compound on them from being brand new. And they're a few years old, along with other tires and wheels and a box of lead wheel weights. Next drawer, more stuff that should be on racks. Some brand new 2.2 tires here, some Proline Mickey Thompson Baja Pro X's. Haven't been seen on the channel, brand new. They're meant for the Axial Bomber, but haven't been seen as of yet. And some brand new foams. Brand new 2.2 wheels, some brand new Traxxas Slash tires over there, some SCX24 tires, SMT 10 parts, stacks of sandwich containers in here, filled with different parts from the SCX24s to my Little C10 to the WL Toys and various other vehicles. Nothing but parts and all those little boxes there. But stuff like the tires and foams and things of that nature could get mounted on a pegboard, that is for sure. Last shelf, we got some Emax tires down here. Original. A couple fuel bottles for the old Nitro Revo. Bag of Armanero parts, huge bag of Armanero parts. Bag of SMT 10 parts. Some SMT stickers. And a couple classic Hobby Code chargers down here, a 905 and a 900 AC/DC quick chargers, which are great for jump starting lipos if you absolutely need to in worst case scenario situations. So there we go. There's a quick look at all that nonsense and our exhaust fan and air conditioner and all that good stuff. Air conditioner was sitting down there behind the TV. That's where we initially had it installed, but once we started setting up the living room, I quickly realized that that was a bad spot for the air conditioner. So we decided to move that further down the line and plugged up the hole in the wall over there and relocated it over to here once again, and then added an exhaust fan up there on a remote switch to vent out any kind of fumes from soldering or bodies that have been freshly spray painted or anything like that. So a little exhaust fan as well has been added. So there is a quick look at the shop, boys and girls. What everything kind of looks like so far. Once again, 98% of the way finished. Not quite 100% done, but we're getting close. Not even sure on the amount of RC cars that we've got out here. I have no idea. I haven't even gotten around to counting those as of yet. Let's give it a quick count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 crawlers with the Mercedes. We'll keep counting. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22-ish. We'll say 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. That's a lot. 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41. If we put an ESC in there, we'd have 41. 42 if it had tires. 43 if it was built. 44 if it had axles. 45 if it was built. 46 if it was unboxed. Actually, 47 cars. Viewer and friend Matt Yono, One Axes on YouTube, donated a little Feiyu FY something or other 4x4 stadium truck kind of buggy thing. I believe it's the equivalent of a WL Toys 12428, the 12 scale buggy. I think it's the equivalent of that. But it's about half put together. Needs to get finished. And Matt had donated that to my channel a year ago or so, maybe a little bit more than a year ago. Many thanks once again, Matt, for that cool little donation there. I'll get that thing together here one day. Probably give it back to you after it's all back together. All right, so that's going to do it, boys and girls. Just wanted to give you guys and gals a quick look at all the rigs we got out here. How far the progress has progressed out here on the studio in the last 3 weeks since our last video. Once again, right around 98% finished. Next video that we do out here will be the unboxing video on this Axial SCX-10.3 early Ford Bronco. Once again, very much appreciated, Des, to you and your family for donating that back to the channel. That was super cool. After that, we'll be installing a TRX4 long travel lift kit onto my TRX4 Bronco. After that, we'll be assembling the Volvo A60H, the Tamiya Volvo, as well as putting on all the accessories and trying to turn that into an actual working tipper truck. And then after that, we'll see. We'll probably be doing some run videos out there on the adventure course here and there and in between things. But otherwise, the next video will be the unboxing and run video on that Axial. All right, so once more, that is going to do it, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, loyal channel subscribers. Very much appreciated for y'all sticking around and watching my nonsense. And we'll see you all on the next video. Thanks again.